into a business.
Talent is preeminent.
Get first-hand success stories from seasoned entrepreneurs only on Build Your Own Business.
This is Build Your Own Business. Powered
by Oze. Make money with Oze.
Welcome to Build Your Own Business, brought to you by Oze. I am Wale Famerewa, and welcome to the show as we unpack the world of accomplished entrepreneurs here in Nigeria. And as they share their stories, no doubt you learn a thing or two that you can use and apply in building your own. Now, today we are focusing on the restaurant and tourism space here in Nigeria. We've seen restaurants come and go, but what are the valuable tips you need to know to build a sustainable restaurant business? We learn about that. And as we also explore the tourism space in Nigeria, we hear more from our guests about how you can make the most of the opportunity. And as usual, we'll get into all of that after a brief introduction of our guest. So just stick around and we'll be right back with the rest of the show.
Tannaz Bahnam is the founder and CEO of Lost in Lagos and T-Kup Chai Latte. Born in Iran, Tannaz moved to London at the age of 4. She began her journey to Lagos after 12 years in London. She headed to the US where she completed her BA in International Relations at Fordham University, followed by an MA in Diplomatic Relations in Paris. She continued on her international exploration for a few years before joining International Investment Guide, a company that compiles reports for Fortune magazine, the Miami Herald, and the National Geographic magazine. She had the opportunity to interview CEOs, ministers, governors, and even the President of Colombia with IIG. She traveled to over 10 countries in just under 3 years before landing in Lagos. She came to Nigeria on her last project with the National Geographic magazine in 2008 and met her husband. And at that time fell in love with Lagos. Her love for discovering new cities led her to start the premier discovery platform, LostInLagos.com. LostInLagos.com quickly became the go-to guide as Tannaz discovered the hidden gems of Lagos. Introducing a whole new Lagos, this platform also became a new way for businesses to create the much-needed exposure for their products and services. At the end of 2016, she decided to leap into the publication business and launched the Lost in Lagos magazine in February 2017. The monthly magazine covers all aspects of Lagos life with a different theme every month. Her aim is to showcase all that Lagos has to offer through the website and magazine, highlighting the best of Lagos. She believes if everyone discovers and experiences Lagos, they will surely fall in love. In 2021, Lost in Lagos rebranded as Lost in a City, expanding into Abuja with further plans to expand internationally. In 2012, she launched T-Kup Chai Latte, producing and distributing a Lagos-made chai latte. T-Kup is now available in over 40 cafes and restaurants in Lagos and Abuja, creating a new taste for chai. Ladies and gentlemen, Tannaz Bahnam.
All right, so let's get started with our conversation with our guest today, Tannaz Bahnam. And Tannaz, we've listened to your intro, your bio just before this, but just give us a sense of how you all got started in this world of business that you're in as an entrepreneur today.
Hi, Wale. So I started in 2010 when a couple years after I came into Nigeria. And I found that Lagos was a completely different city back then and has changed dramatically since. But when I first came, it was really hard to really navigate the city and discover it essentially. And but I did. I tried to find as many places as possible that made me feel like I could make Lagos my home. And in doing so, I was able to discover so many new businesses and would share that with people I knew. But I found that I needed to create something where people could go in and discover it on their own. So that's why I started Lost in Lagos in 2010. And it was really more of a passion project back then. And I was quite determined to really create more visibility for these businesses that I felt were so hidden. And of course, now these businesses are much more visible and out there than they were in 2010. And the environment has completely changed since then, which is great. And it's helped me a lot too.
No doubt it has changed so much. And so given your work that you're doing with Lost in the City, I think that's an expansion of Lost in Lagos and the Kitchen Nigeria. how would you describe the opportunity for entrepreneurs who are looking to invest in restaurants? Because we tend to see them come and go all over the city over the years. But what will be your advice to those who are looking to go into restaurants?
I think right now it's easy to assume that the restaurant business is booming and it's where people are making money. But I think you have to be careful to understand that there are only a few who are actually really making money and will be in the industry long term because they're really committed. And I think that is the difference between a restaurant that is opened out of a hobby or, a thought that, you can make some quick money versus a restaurant that is opened where this is their main business and this is their lifeline and everything depends on this business succeeding. And it's very clear which restaurants follow that model versus another one. And people recognize that. It's not that the customer is not ignorant or naive. And I feel like sometimes restaurant owners feel that they could trick their customer into believing that they have a good product. And if looking into investing into that business, you either have to invest wholeheartedly and know what you want to provide your customer and know that the customer is essentially who you are creating this business for. And or if you're looking to invest into someone's business, and you have to do so with someone that is in that frame of mind and is wholeheartedly invested in it. And that is where their passion is. And they are bringing something authentic to the table. And with both Lost in a City and the kitchen is essentially the epitome of that, because what we want to do is give an opportunity for those who are really committed and who are passionate about this industry, a chance to prove themselves, but also to show them that it's not an industry, a very simple, easy industry to get into. It's not quick money. It's a lot of hard work, long hours, strong commitment, and it is something that takes time to really grow and be successful in.
So in your view, on the point you're making about taking time, what would you describe as the key success factors for building a good and sustainable restaurant business?
I think one is being 100% committed to it. You have no other distractions. As a business owner, you have to be present all the time, every day, especially in the first year, 2 years. You have to understand who your clientele is. Know that, again, you're building this business for them. This is not something that you're building for yourself. You want customers, you want people to come in and talk about your business, and they need to be able to have that full experience. And when I say full experience, there are 3 pillars that we always follow in trying to create or trying to depict that perfect restaurant image. And one is the food. And some would say that is the most important factor. Exactly. 2 is the ambiance, which some restaurants these days are picking one over to the other instead of both. And 3rd, service, because at the end of the day, if you have a bad experience with good service, you'll come back and give them another try. So all 3 are important. One cannot stand alone, and you can't have good service, horrible ambiance, and terrible food. It's just not going to work. And I think all 3 matter. And when you talk about ambiance, this should not be you're not building an Instagrammable business. You're building a business that can look good on Instagram, but that should not be your focal point or your main objective.
We certainly will talk a bit about Instagram, because media, obviously, and social media in particular, has now become a big part of pushing and selling a business out there. But still on the point about ambience, and I imagine that could potentially be a tricky aspect to build. There is the balance of the culture and the personality, I guess, of the person who is building the business, and then, of course, the culture and personality of those who you are hoping to attract. So can you just speak a little more about that ambience and the magic that you can potentially build doing it right?
I think when you think of the vision that you want for your business, it has to everything has to align. So if your food is trying to tell a story, then so should the ambiance. The ambiance should align well with what you're offering, and it shouldn't be you have like Asian theme, but you serve pizza. Like it has to make sense. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of money being spent in that, in creating that right ambiance. And recently, maybe over the past few years, 2-3 years, I would say, there has been more money being spent within businesses in Lagos and Abuja that really reflect that trend of the ambiance mattering, and sometimes mattering most, because that's how people are drawn into your business. So they want to be somewhere nice. They want to be somewhere they can capture for social media. But whether they come back are the other two factors. How was your service? How was the food? So you might get them in, but will they stay? And that's the other question.
A very, very important point you're making there. So from your experience, especially with what you're doing with the kitchen and Lost in the City, Lost in Lagos, what are the common missteps you can point to in terms of those who are building restaurant businesses in the country?
I think one thing that people take for granted is the location of their business, and we get away with a lot in Lagos. And I think depending on the type of business you're doing or the type of cuisine or ambience you're trying to achieve, location is really important. So if you're doing trying to attract fast food or quick service types of businesses, you can't be on a side street. You have to be somewhere easy, with easy access, good parking. If someone feels that they can't get to you, they won't come to you. Because if they're coming for a quick coffee and it's not quick, then they're going to be discouraged from coming, and they'll go somewhere that does offer that. Now, if you're offering something a little bit more high end and trying to achieve a more, speakeasy kind of ambiance and more exclusive, then location is a little less important. So people will come to you no matter where you are, as long as you're offering what they're looking for. And people are quite loyal. So if they feel like, they're not coming or they're not getting what they're looking for, they won't come back.
No, very interesting points, and no doubt very valuable to our audience today. So let's pivot now towards tourism. And I imagine that restaurants are a big part of that, but many will agree that that hasn't been one of our greatest points in Nigeria as an economy. Tourism obviously can develop a lot more, but from your viewpoint, I want to hear your thoughts about the low-hanging fruits in relation to tourism. You obviously have come into the country, and I imagine you see people come and go. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Lagos is obviously the most populous city. I mean, look at the landscape. You have the ocean, you have the lagoon, you have forests, you have like a beautiful landscape, and that in itself is gold for tourism industry. If you look at the beach resorts, they have only started developing very slowly, privately right now. But there's so much opportunity there you don't have a single international hotel on the beachfront. And we have a huge coastal line. There are many opportunities around tourism, and even developing for local tourism too, just these things like the children's playgrounds, children's activities, more adventure opportunities or attractions that have not really been invested in. And those who have invested in them have done so cautiously. So they're not putting huge investments in it. And you can tell as a explorer of the city, I can see that no one place has really spent millions of dollars the way other international destinations do in a theme park or in a zoo or in any of these kind of attractions that really bring in tourists. And that's one thing that is lacking. No one's really willing to put their money where nobody else has yet. They don't want to take that risk until somebody else comes in and says, okay, you know what, I'll take the chance. And everyone is waiting for that first mover to see, will they succeed?
All right, but if we can move away just for a moment from the big investors, so to speak, and talk more to the small and medium-sized businesses. You mentioned local attractions. What are your thoughts about what small and medium-sized businesses can do in terms of capturing the tourists that are coming into the country?
I think if they invest more in themselves, in trying to promote themselves, because a lot of these smaller businesses don't have a marketing budget. And the only way you get seen or heard about is by actually making some noise. And they've become heavily reliant on social media alone to do that. And they're competing with thousands of other businesses who are trying to do the same. So it's very important that marketing is taken into consideration and is a big part of their business plan. Otherwise, what's the point of running a business when you have no customers?
All right, very, very important point, and thanks for making that. Okay, so let's talk a bit more about you. So what are your aspirations for the future? You've obviously been at this for a while. You've been capturing the Lagos scene, the Abuja scene. Where is all this headed? And then also, I'd like you to speak to the Kitchen Nigeria project.
So Lost in a City has transitioned from Lost in Lagos, and now we're actually introducing soon a new product, our app called Awari. And Awari is really going to be our main baby, as my baby in a way, because we've taken a long time to make it happen. And this year we're actually going to be launching it. And in doing so, we're going to take Lost in a City outside of Nigeria and into other countries, not just in Africa, but also the Middle East, and looking at opportunities that are similar to what we have in Lagos, and giving those tools and platforms to other businesses too, to make them more discoverable.
Lovely, sounds great. And best wishes as you continue to do that. What about the kitchen project? Tell us a little more about that.
So the kitchen, we will be launching the series very soon. I can't give too much information on that yet, but it will be very soon. And we will be running a second season, and we'll be taking an application starting from the end of July. So we're really looking forward to that, because we know that after the success of the first season, the second season is going to be even bigger.
Awesome, good to know. All right, so let's talk a bit more about social media, because you mentioned that, and while you made a fair point about the fact that it is a platform that is attracting thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs, in your view though, what's the value of social media and media in general today for those who are building restaurants?
I think social media is the most important tool that a restaurateur has at their disposal, and it is an extremely valuable tool at that. But to know how to use that tool is also extremely valuable. And again, like I said, they are competing with. I mean, in the restaurant scene, there's thousands alone in Lagos that are trying to kind of build their brand. So putting themselves out there is important, but sacrificing their vision as a restaurant to do that is also quite dangerous, because I think a few restaurants that I've seen out there have done that. They've focused solely on making their restaurant Instagrammable, and the other two pillars have kind of fallen on the side and have not been a focus. So they lose long-term customer and long-term loyalty. And that is a thin line. So trying to make their business attractive and Instagrammable while offering the best in service and food. And to achieve all three is quite difficult.
No doubt. And managing that is obviously the key to success and making the most of social media in particular. Thanks so much for that. Tannaz, as we begin to round up, I just want you to give us your parting tips, if you like. You've mentioned the importance of commitment to a restaurant business, promoting that, and of course, using media properly. But I wonder if you have any other thoughts to share.
I think one of the most important points is passion. Always make sure your passion is there throughout your process and throughout, every difficult situation. Passion needs to be there. Otherwise, you lose your drive. And another one is patience. Patience is one of my most important qualities, because if you're not patient in this environment, it's easy to give up, and patience is a very important virtue to withhold.
Thank you so much. And on that note, we round up this conversation with Tannaz Bahnam. Obviously, this has been valuable to anyone who is looking to go into restaurant business or is already there. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to speaking to you or connecting with you on the next program.
This is Build Your Own Business, powered
by Oze. Make money with Oze.